Oh boy. I hope you guys are ready. I'm just doing a few things on the back end, guys, so hold tight. I'll be with you in just a few minutes. I'll try to cut this short so we can get right to it, but just hold tight. All right, make sure you share this feed everywhere you can, guys. Get it out there. Let everybody know this is very important news that's breaking right now. Plus, there's a whole list of other news that's major, that's also coming down the pike, that could cause their own Black Swan event. So everybody needs to be aware of what's coming. right, guys. What's happening? Once again, live with you here at the BP News Studio. And it's going down. It's getting crazy. I'm not sure if that was thunder or lightning or what. We got some pretty severe weather coming in here, too. We got lots of rain coming, so I'm not sure if that was thunder or lightning or if that's somebody trying to bust down my door. Try not to get me to tell you guys what's going on. Maybe it's the spooks. But, hey, guys, it definitely is hitting the fan. We got a lot of news to talk about. The Venezuela thing looks like it's right on our doorstep now. Hegseth, Secretary of War, just made a statement. And not only did he put the Secretary of War plaque himself on the building, but he made a statement today that said, let me just read it to you in his own words. What's crazy about this is that Russia responded and said they're going to be involved in support of the southern countries down there, not to mention, and because Venezuela is a very important part, and because I think it's the oil, it's all about the oil. This is not about narco terrorists. This is not about narco terrorism. We're trying to. It was kind of weird because I made a big statement about this, and you got to kind of wonder, like, is this just everybody talking about the same thing and Trump's responding to it, or because I didn't hear a whole lot of people talking too much about this topic, but Trump responded the very next day. You got to wonder if the AI just doesn't pump out information like, oh, there's a trouble in Sector 5. Everybody's talking about this. You need to respond quickly. Get in front of it. The AI has all that information for them, I'm sure. They type it in or they get it fed to them. One of the things that I think he responded to was the statement that, first of all, fentanyl doesn't come through Venezuela. Drugs, if anything, there's about 10% of cocaine. Okay, well, they supposedly work, the cartels work together with some of the higher level people in Venezuela. Is this true? They're blowing up all those ships, and those ships can only, and they're not ships, they're small little speedboats that can only go 100 to 200 miles. There's no way they can even make it to America. But how do they even know what's on those boats? They're just blowing them up. Is this an excuse? Well, lots of oil there, huge deposits, probably one of the biggest oil deposits on the planet is right there in Venezuela. And I think that we're going to be trying to take the spoils of war, as Trump recently said. We've always been stupid as a country. We go into Afghanistan and we leave. We don't take the spoils of war. We need to take the spoils of war. So was he referencing Venezuela? Because now Hegseth has stated, and let's just get it right from Hegseth's own mouth. He said this: President Trump ordered action, and the Department of War is delivering. Today, I am announcing Operation Southern Spear. So it's called Southern Spear. Led by Joint Task Force Southern Spear and Southcom, that's Southern Command, this mission defends our homeland, removes narco-terrorists from our hemisphere, and secures our homeland from the drugs that are killing our people. The Western Hemisphere is America's neighborhood, and we will protect it, unquote. So this is a war on drugs? Okay, well, it looks like it's a war on Venezuela, on its government. They've got bounties on Maduro. Was it $25 million? Is that what it was? On his cabinet members or chief of defense or whatever, saying that he's one of the drug runners. I mean, this is about regime change. This is actually going into a sovereign nation that is allied with powers like Russia, China, and they're going to defend Venezuela. I mean, they're amassing a 1 million-man army. I don't know if you saw the video of their coastline. I mean, they've got all kinds of weapons. I mean, this is going to be a war, guys. We're going in there with I mean, we're going in there guns blazing. I mean, that's what Trump said too. Guns blazing. We're going to go in there guns blazing. He said that about guns blazing. So you got to kind of wonder, like, what are we going to do? We're going to hit them with everything we got, because that's what's going to take. Unless we've got specialized teams that are just going to go in there and decapitate from within, surgical, and then try to overthrow the whole government and then reinstall some puppet government that we can say is ours, that's going to do our bidding, so that, because we need that oil. Obviously, that woman who received the Nobel Peace Prize in Trump's stead, because she said she wanted to dedicate the prize to Trump, and they're going to install her, right? They're going to install her. That's all been set up. So from what I understand, this is all going to hit the fan real soon. So here we go. Let's go take a look at some of the stuff here on Telegram. I just want to say hello to everybody really quickly. Welcome all you who are here, and as well as newcomers and all of our old channels that were scrubbed. Now, we didn't get all of our channels back. We got the channels back that were scrubbed from about 2020, 21 during the COVID era. But the real censorship that began in 2017 under the initiated administration of Trump, the first administration, was pretty widespread. And all of our channels have been deleted on that at that time. Never came back. So we haven't got those channels back. And that's probably about 400,000 subscribers. So those channels haven't come back, but the other ones did. So we've gotten back about 100,000 subscribers. So you'll start seeing more people coming in here, hopefully. We're kind of gaining back some numbers, but we're going to develop the other channels. Don't worry. Those channels are still going to stay online. So don't unsubscribe to those channels. Just make sure you add this one to your list. This is the main channel right now for our streaming. But we are developing those other channels. But in the meantime, let's get into the news here. So here is the statement from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. And that is literally what we're about to do. We're about to see war break out there. And this is exactly what I expected, and the timing being that this whole thing with Epstein. And if you don't know what's going on with the Epstein files, that is pretty, most people that were really looking into this knew that this was what was there. And it does expose a lot of what Trump really was all about, really what he was involved in. There's no illusions. Anybody that's really looked in and really done the research, instead of just believing whatever hopium or positive thinking, anybody can craft an image. Anybody can take and do, what they call gaslighting. And there's a lot of people that are Trump supporters, that are big time Trump supporters, that are now flipping. Lots and lots of people. I am seeing it all over. In fact, one of the big supporters of Trump in Congress, and I got to go back to his name there. I'll show you in a minute. He basically put out a poll on X about the H1, I forget what they call it, H1B visa thing, the visa workers. And he put that out on X as a poll. And listen to this. Out of what was it? 10,700 respondents to this poll. 10,000 of them said that they're not with Trump. 10,000. There was only about 7% that said they agreed. 93 or 94% said they didn't agree. Literally. I mean, that's a mutiny on the bounty, right? That is people just jumping ship. And he's trying to make sense of it. I mean, and it may not be so much as the logic of what is actually being said by Trump, because it could sound logical to what he's trying to accomplish. But really, people have stopped trusting him, especially in light of what's going on with the Epstein fiasco. The Epstein fiasco is just so in your face, spitting in the face of those who brought him in, the very base. I mean, people like Owen Schroeder. These are all MAGA supporters, big time, all the way up until the last few months, until all this began to hit the fan once he got in. And then they realized, what in the world is going on? All of our dreams and our beliefs and our hopes have been dashed. And he's turned into something that we didn't even know. It's like a monster. But see, we already knew this back in 2020. That's why we got off the bandwagon. We started trying to warn people. We did lose a lot of subscribers, but, we tried to alert people to the fact that he wasn't what, it's like when somebody speaks positively and hyperbole, what would be the word? Uses a lot of hyperbole, and they use a lot of positive thinking techniques. And some people are very good at this. A lot of these self-help gurus do that. And it's kind of like a word magic, right? It's like casting spells. If you know anything about the occult, you can gain people's allegiance and to them to adhere to your ideas if you promote this kind of reality and you craft that image and you're very well connected. And Trump is very well, and he knows how to intimidate. He knows how to use the legal system. He knows how to use money. He knows how to use leverage. He's got name recognition. Obviously, he's got a brand, the brand Trump. That's the only thing that really saved Trump was his brand. Even though he went into bankruptcy and was $1 billion, in the red, he did get a lot of help. He's gotten people donating to him that have huge amounts of money, and took care of all of his debts, even though he claimed bankruptcy at least 7 times, never paid. A lot of those people that, when you go bankrupt, you don't pay your subcontractors. You're a builder. Well, you're a builder. Okay, great. But what about how you got to where you are? Did you step on a million people on the way up to the top? Because God's not going to be pleased with that. And neither are those who are supporting when they find out that they've been supporting something that God is not happy with. Okay, this is not going to fly. There's a protocol, and God looks at the way you got to where you are. You have to go through the right channels, and you have to have taken the right steps, right? It's not about your outcome or your results as much as it is on how you got to where you are, right? I mean, you could say, oh, wow, like Bill Gates, wow, he's got a lot of money, man. I just respect him because he's done so many things, and now he's recrafted his image as a philanthropic, humanitarian. He's out there helping people. But how did he get to where he is? And how did he make all that money? Well, he stabbed people in the back. He stole. He did all kinds of things. Just go look at the movie Pirates of Silicon Valley. You'll understand how he got there. And then on top of the fact that what he's doing is really harming people, he's not really helping people. I mean, they're even doing weird. The whole Gates thing is just, I could do videos on this. If I had more time, I would. But I could just do segments on long, deep dives on what Bill Gates is doing right now. I was looking at some stuff last night about what he's doing with the soil and all of his farm acquisitions and it's just mind-boggling what they are planning to do with our food and our agriculture. Guys. And then you start talking about technology and AI and everything. That just is another whole bag. There's so much happening and all at once. But anyway, the main thing right now is war. This is what we should be looking at right now because this is the main thing that is a major threat to our stability and to what we need to be aware of that's coming down the pike. Here's Donald Trump's recent statement that responded to the whole release of the files, right? This is a big deal right now, the release of the Epstein files. And they're trying to get in front of it by saying, oh, we're releasing files selectively. We're releasing files selectively. But the Democrats and a lot of Republicans, headed by a Republican, Massey, he's a Republican. He got the votes. Now, what happened was, from what I understand, Trump approached 3 or 4 Republicans that were on board to try to get this to be disclosed with this vote with Massey, and he got them to flip. He personally went to them to get them to stop. One of them was Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene was big time disillusionment with Trump, and she was one of the biggest Trump supporters ever. One of the biggest MAGA supporters ever, and Trump had to literally appeal to, and he did. He got them to flip. It was Marjorie Taylor Greene. There was 2 other guys, or two other I don't know if they were reps that had voted for this. They had the 218 votes. I don't think they have the 218 votes now because Trump went in there and he flipped the other votes off, because that one lady that was coming in that was sworn in yesterday after the government was opened was the 218th vote that would have allowed this Epstein file to be completely released. So Trump thwarted it. Why did he thwart it? They're only selectively now releasing things that are just from the Trump administration. Will they be able to get everything out there? I don't know now, from what I read. But Trump is saying Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown. Hey, the shutdown, I'm going to tell you what, when I looked into that whole thing on a deeper dive, Trump's just playing. He's playing the fiddle. You know, he's trying to play like he's the altruistic, desires to keep government open and tries to, wants to help all the poor, when in reality, they're wanting to pull everything back. And this was all part of a plan to get to the point where they are now. This is all crafted. This was all understood way ahead of time. The TH thing was stuck in the bill at the last minute. It wasn't a clean bill. It was a lot of politics, as it always is. This isn't about you or me or the poor or anything else going on with our economy. This isn't about strengthening middle America. This is about empowering the globalists. I mean, Trump is on his way to the WEF, the World Economic Forum. Did you see that? Yeah, he's going to be there. He's going to be there. He's probably going to be hanging out with Klaus Schwab for all we know. I wonder if Klaus Schwab is, I don't even know if Klaus Schwab is still involved in terms of leadership, but I'm sure he's still involved. He's probably going to hobnob with Klaus and Yuval Harari or whatever his name is, that, Jewish mad scientist that's talking about all this technology. Yeah, he's going to be there. And so Trump is sitting there trying to play this off as if it's all the Democrats' fault, when we know lots of Republicans were involved in this too. They were there on the island, and it looks like there was some things to be worried about on Trump's end, and Epstein and all these emails that are coming out were showing it. These are not faked emails. These are all real emails. So just look at the evidence yourself and realize what we're dealing with here. So it says, so Trump says, only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. So you're stupid or bad if you're a Republican that wants to get all these files released. You're stupid and bad. Just listen to what I say. I only want to release a certain amount of files that make the Democrats look bad. I don't want to release everything, because otherwise everything would shut down and nobody would have any trust in any Republican either, including Trump. So those files can't be released. So any other Republican that wants to try to undermine the right side of the aisle is stupid and bad, right? The Democrats cost our country. Now, we're going to go into how much this costs, right? Trump is going to go into this. Oh, look at what you've costed us. And God bless you, David Craig. God bless. If you can, yes, we do need support. Amen. David Craig is absolutely right. Thank you, David. David is a big champion of the channel, and I will say that definitely. He goes way and far beyond anything. He's like I'm telling you guys, just understand what he's saying is true. What did you say there? If you can keep support and other BP channels to make up, thumbs up, share everywhere. Yes, God bless you too. Thank you so much, David. But getting back to this, it says, on a very bad or stupid Republican would do this and fall into the trap. The Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion. Listen to that. Out of the, $38 trillion debt, we just added $1.5 trillion in the last month to our debt? Is that what we just did? Because the Democrats, right? So if everything falls apart right now, it's the Democrats' fault. This is all going to be Democrats. They're always going to point to Democrats as the reason for why everything's bad. And it's not going to be the Republicans. The Republicans are only trying to do what's best, right? We're going to war. There's a reason why we're going to war, because that's for our safety. That's why we're taking a war stance. Even though we're saying we're peaceful, Even though Trump wants the Nobel Peace Prize, and this is a golden age, and he's making peace everywhere, we still got to go to war, because war actually brings peace, right? His words are smooth as oil, but in his heart are drawn swords. This is exactly what the Bible says in Daniel. So we keep telling you, he's the guy in Daniel. Trump's the guy in Daniel. He's also the guy in Revelation. He's a little Trump, little horn, it says, that grows up and speaks boastfully. Who else do you know that speaks boastfully like this? and then likens himself to Jesus and every other spiritual thing that you can think of, messianic, facade here. But anyway, so it goes on to say $1.5 trillion with their recent antics of viciously closing our country while at the same time putting many at risk. And they should pay a fair price. So the Democrats are going to pay a price, right? He's going to go after them with vengeance. Our country is divided. Yes, our country is divided. Can a house stand when it's divided like this? Vicious. He's talking about vicious. He's talking about war talk. He's talking about internal strife that is ripping apart the very fabric of this country. And he's saying that we need to have some recompense. We need to, I'm telling you guys, this is not just coming from without, it's coming from within. And he said they should pay a fair price. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else. Or anything else. And any Republicans involved should focus only on opening up our country and fixing the massive damage caused by the Democrats. Now, this was yesterday's post, but it is now officially open, right? We're officially open for business as a country. Okay, I hope so. Well, in light of all the things that are fixing to happen in the Southern Hemisphere, in the Middle East, because that's about to blow. And then you got all this stuff going on with Ukraine, and they are in panic mode because the Russians are making huge advances. And there's big weapons that are being used right now. The Russians are using their hypersonics, and now the Tomahawks are coming into play, and the Ukrainians are using their Flamingo weapon, which I don't know if the Flamingo is a hypersonic, but I think the Tomahawk is hypersonic. Anyway, whatever it is, it's something that is very escalatory. It is causing this to go into, hypersonic mode here, warp speed conflict with nuclear powers. I mean, we're seeing all this stuff that supposedly Trump fixed. I made peace in like 10 places. Now India and Pakistan are going at it. And this is escalating hugely. Did you see all the bombing that happened? The big car bombs that were what? I mean, this is kind of on the level of, Oklahoma City when they did those big, huge car bombs. There was lots of people died. And so you had bombings in India, and you also had bombings in Pakistan. And now they're going to war. All the armaments are coming to the border. So where did that peace go? Peace, peace. When you say peace, peace, behold, sudden destruction will come upon them like a woman in travail. All this talk of peace. I'm telling you, we're on the brink of sudden destruction. I just hear that song. On the eve of destruction. We're on the eve of destruction. This is Barry McGuire. Now, this is coming from this statement here, with all due respect. This is coming from a major channel, Edward Dowd. And if you don't know who Edward Dowd is, he is a very big supporter of Trump. He's got 353,000 followers on Twitter or X. Almost it's going up there to 500,000. And this is what he said to this statement by Trump. With all due respect to a president I continue to support, this is BS. This is what he said. This is BS. He said, I still support you, but this is BS. This is the way many in the MAGA land are feeling right now with all these statements that Trump is putting out there. Epstein ran a child ring right there. You can't say the words because, you know, they're not words you're supposed to say on social media, especially because they monitor everything. But here he is. You can read it for yourself. Everyone knows it, and you cannot rewrite decades of acknowledgement of that fact by people on both sides of the aisle, the courts, the law enforcement, by posting this garbage. Right? It is garbage. It is absolute. I mean, it's like, do you think people are stupid? Like, how stupid does Trump think his followers are that voted for him? Very smart people that voted for him and had some expectations of, they didn't expect perfection. They didn't expect him to be some, paragon of virtue. But he's obviously thinking they're stupid, telling them to their face they're stupid. This is the betrayal. Like I said, he was going to betray MAGA, and now he's doing it. He's doing it. No one likes the Dems, but this was one of your issues in the past. This was Trump's issue. This was what he ran on. And all you're doing is discrediting yourself among your strongest supporters. I'm pleading with you to fire crooked advisors. It's not his advisors. This is Trump. His advisors are not telling him to do this. This is Trump. Trump doesn't even listen to his advice. Well, I'm sure he does, but he makes his own decisions. He's got a brain, and he already knows what he's going to do. He's got this all planned out. And he not only listens to his advisors, he listens to the money. It's not his advisors. It's where the money is. Where the most money is coming. This is why he had that terrorist in the White House. Laura Loomer can't understand what's going on. She's beside herself. Big Jewish supporter of Trump. One of his greatest advocates. One of the biggest MAGA supporters around. She's beside herself with all this stuff going on with the Syria terrorists that Trump had in the Oval Office. She cannot believe it. This is another betrayal of Israel. Now, did you see what Netanyahu said today? That they don't. He says the Jews in Israel is planning to not rely upon the United States military anymore. That they're pulling away. They've got other plans. I wonder what's going on there. But anyway, so it goes on to say, no one likes the Dems, but this was one of your hot button issues in the past, and all you are doing is discrediting yourself amongst your strongest supporters. I'm pleading with you to fire your crooked advisors that keep telling you to do this. They are the swamp. No, Trump is the swamp. You still want to believe. You're still trying to tell yourself that this can't be happening, but it is. You're starting to realize that he is the swamp. In fact, he's the head swamp creature. You better get that through your head. He's the biggest swamp creature out there. He's the one leading the charge. You just don't know it. He's playing like 10G chess on you. 10D chess. He's way ahead of even MAGA. He's betraying MAGA, and they didn't figure it out until now. Now they're waking up. It's too late now because we're going to be in war. We've got AI now going to drop the bomb on us with all this digital prison that they're putting us into. Apple has just rolled out their digital ID. The government shut down. The airports were shut down. They're probably installing all this software right now in the airport so you can't travel unless you got this Apple ID now that's all digital. They're bringing it online really quick. And then we're going to be in war. And everything's going to probably be locked down with all these troops everywhere and federalized law enforcement everywhere. They're everywhere, every state, especially the red states. The red states are the most, locked down states that they're going to be moving on this. So he says, I'm pleading with you to fire your crooked advisors. And then he says, America needs the old Donald Trump. They were believing a lie. That's the only problem. See, I saw through the lie all the way back in 2020. I woke up 2020. Well, I kind of was having intuitions about this even way back when I was doing live streams and having 1 million people watching, a day, we'd get 1 million plus views, 10, 20,000 people live on a live stream, sometimes more. One time we had 50,000 people watching us live. And I was having these crazy dreams about Trump, like he was some two-faced enemy of me. He hated me. I couldn't understand it. It didn't make any sense. I had dream after dream. It was like at least 5 or 6 dreams during that time. I would tell my wife, I don't get this, man. This is weird. But my soul, my inner understanding, my inner instinct knew. And then in 2020, when COVID hit, I realized I saw right through the mask and I saw what was going on, especially after I read what happened with the inner workings of Giuliani and Flynn and what's that other guy's name? Patrick Byrne and Sidney Powell. When I read all that account of what happened in the Oval Office when they approached him right after actually he lost, the election, and I read everything that went on there, I couldn't believe it. Like that was just like the big light bulb that went off. And I could see right through everything that was coming. And so that's when I jumped off the MAGA train. Okay, and I know a lot of people still wanted to believe, especially all these Christian prophets out there, he's coming back. He's still in control. Q is right. Trust the plan. Trust the sessions. Trust Barr. Trust everything. Trust the plan. Even if it sounds like it's crazy, it's for optics. It's like 3D. We're a ghost. We're here. No, you don't know what's going on because you're not supposed to. It's a government operation, a military operation. It's this, it's that. It's this, and maybe it is. But maybe it's a high-level demonic op. Did you ever think about that? Maybe it's the Prince of Darkness himself. I'm not talking about Ozzy. I'm talking about the real Prince of Darkness. Maybe he's the one orchestrating this whole thing. You ever think about that? And by the way, Trump they did release the phone call where Trump calls Ozzy, Sharon Osbourne, and he's talking to them, and he leaves a message, and they play it. Oh, look at Trump. Trump left a message about Ozzy. Say how much he loved Ozzy. Well, obviously, he loves the Prince of Darkness. But anyways, that came out, I guess, the other day. America needs the old Donald Trump, the fighter that stood for truth and the American people. That was an illusion. That was just an illusion of reality. We thought he was one of us, not one of those elites, not one of those billionaires. Oh no, he doesn't. He's one of us. He doesn't hang out with tech billionaires and. Oh, wait a minute. He's supposed to be meeting with what? 5 or 6 tech billionaires tonight? Isn't he having dinner with them all? You know what he's doing? He's preparing for the collapse. This is why he's meeting with all these guys. He's meeting with all of them tonight. Did you hear about that? They're getting ready for the collapse and the war and everything else that's about to hit the fan. The big reset. This is why Klaus Schwab's, this is why he's going to WEF, don't you? He's going over to WEF for a reason. But I thought he wasn't a swamp creature. I thought he was against globalism. Well, that's what he wanted you to believe. And he played you like a fiddle. And you believed it. We tried to tell you. And now everybody sees it. So that's good. It's good that we're all waking up, right? It's good that we're all waking up. So it says we need people. He says that we need the people, you, Mr. President. We the people need you, Mr. President. He's pleading, please. Don't let my illusions of you die. They're dying. This is what he's doing. He's pleading. Please don't let this thought of you die. I've been worshiping this idol of you for so long, and now it's dying. And you know what Trump says to him? You foolish woman. You knew I was a snake before you took me in. Please fire the liars and the crooks that continue to push these patently false and absurd statements and lead us in MAGA and Maha again. Lead us again in MAGA and Maha. Please get back to your original promise to us. Stop being a swamp creature. What's going on? You're being deceived, Trump. No, he's not being deceived. This was the agenda all along. Anyway, so here it is. Wall Street's titans are expected at Trump's White House dinner tonight. Who's going to be there? Oh, just Blackstone's Stephen Schwartzman and J.P. Morgan, Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, and Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon, NASDAQ chief Adina Friedman, and Morgan Stanley CEO Ted Pick, and who else? I don't know. I mean, it's not the tech giants. It's actually the Wall Street giants. Okay, so he's meeting with all those people. And this has to do with the economy, because I think we're on the brink of seeing our economic collapse. And maybe this is the transition. Maybe this is what they call the reset, the reboot, build back better. I mean, that never materialized. I think that's where Trump was supposed to come in. He was supposed to be the one that closes the deal and oversees the bankrupt, because he's been so good at bankruptcy. You know, Trump has made money at bankruptcy. Remember, they were asking him, like, how do you make money, sir? I mean, you went bankrupt like 7 or 8 times. Like, how do you still continue to do what you're doing? I make money at bankruptcy. Well, maybe that's why they have him overseeing America right now, because America is bankrupt. And maybe he'll turn it all around and we'll start making money, right? Maybe this is what the Bitcoin president's all about. So Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin doing? I bet you Bitcoin is going skyrocketed. No, you know what's going up? I'll tell you what's going up. Gold and silver are going up. Bitcoin is going down. Bitcoin is down again. It's at $99. It was at what, 120, 130? What was it, the highs? It was up at 125 almost there. And now it's down to almost 98,000 a coin. So yeah, big time losses. Huge losses. But gold and silver, and I'm not saying to put your money in gold and silver. I just say gold and silver is the barometer of where our economy really is. It's telling you what's really happening. And it's not good. It is not good. So gold is at $4,184, and silver is at what? 69. No, that can't be. I'm looking at the wrong chart here. Silver is at $52.64. Some of the highest highs almost ever. I think the highest silver has been now is $54. It was at $54.34. That's huge. And those are indicators of the health of the economy and the inflation as it's hitting us. And the value of the dollar declining, its worth and its value. This is why they're giving these $200 or $2,000 stimulus checks. You know what that's going to mean to you? It's about $300 purchasing power. Yeah, you'll be able to buy about $300 worth of products with that $2,000 because everything is falling apart. So it's not really going to help at all. I mean, you've incurred and your prices on everything are increasing exponentially. That $2,000 ain't going to help you, but maybe for a week. Maybe it'll be like maybe a week or 2 weeks worth out of a month to maybe, kind of make it feel a little bit better there for a little bit. That $2,000 is just going to not. It's just absolutely crazy. But let's see what else we got here. So here's Russia. Russia vows to fully act. Listen to what this is, a statement by Russia about Venezuela and the war that's about to break out there. Russia vows to fully act as U.S. sends warships to Venezuela. And so we say, but how? Russia got her work cut out for her in Ukraine. So why pile on? Why do they want to be involved in South America? Russia has pledged to be ready to help Venezuela as the U.S. continues to reinforce its military presence near the southern American nation. This is coming from the Express. So let's take a look at some of these articles here really quick. The check's in the mail. I'm looking at some of your comments. Let me look at some of your comments. Buy a generator with it? Yeah, you're gonna need power, because I'm sure everything's it's gonna affect everything. You know, we should be talking on a real serious note here about being prepared in the physical. And I'm not just talking about, you know, the most important thing obviously is the heart, making sure that you're spiritually prepared for what's coming. But you're still in a body and you still have physical needs, and you need to be thinking about your environment. And that's where wisdom comes from. I believe God does give us a heads up in a natural sense of things that are needed. You know, we need to understand, you know, it's kind of like being in the right place at the right time. You know what I mean? That's why you appeal to the God of heaven to help you to understand and see the big picture, so that you're not in the wrong place at the right time. You want to be in the right place at the right time. You know, if you're in the wrong place at the right time, then that's bad. That's a bad situation. It doesn't matter how prepared you are. You could be at the right place where a nuke drops, right? And you're prepared. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you got preparedness. But really, even if that happens, a lot of people say, well, if World War III breaks out, that's where I want to be. I want to be at ground zero. Well, a lot of people say that, but are you really ready? Think about it. The reality of facing God at one moment here and the next moment facing God. Are you going to be ready for that? But in the meantime, we do need to think about natural things. You know, do you have enough food? Do you have enough water? Do you have access to water? Do you have the ability to get food if you need food? Do you grow food? Are you a person that knows how to grow things, or how to make things, or MacGyver? You got to be like a MacGyver. For those who don't know what MacGyver is, you got to be able to make things work. You know, do you have a community that knows how to do things like welding and, you know, making things happen? You know, like solar. Do you have a solar setup? Do you have generators? Do you have extra fuel? You know, do you know about security? Are you able to secure your environment? Do you have the ability to have people that are going to be watching your back? You know, do you you got to know how to do things. You know, the problem is that Americans don't know how to do things. They're so used to having everything given to them, and their jobs, they've lost touch with how to do things that help them to survive, right? I mean, back in the old days, what was it? Everybody had like a vocation. You know, like there were some that were blacksmiths, there were some that were farmers. They did chickens, cows, goats. There was those that knew how to grow vegetables. They knew about soil. They knew about weather. They knew how to do basic things. And now today, people don't. They just go to the store. Why just go to the store? I've got credit cards. I can buy whatever I need, and if I run out of money, I just use my credit cards, and then I just make some more money, and then that's it. You know, I live in a concrete jungle. And that's what happens when everything goes south. You're going to be in a concrete jungle, and people in the jungle are going to eat you because there's going to be nothing to eat. When everything is said and done, when everything does stop, do you think that the government's going to come help you? You think that first responders are going to leave their families to come help you? I mean, look at what just happened in Hurricane Katrina. I mean, where was the first responders there? I mean, that's just a small little event. That's small. That's not even a black swan. That's just a small little event. We're talking about multiple black swan events that are affecting everything all at the same time when war breaks out. You're talking about world war. We're not just talking about a regional conflict. We're talking about world war happening. This Venezuela thing is another harbinger of conflicts around the world happening all simultaneously. When you have a world war, there's conflicts happening that are all connected on different parts of the globe, or on the circle of the sphere that's flying like a plate through the universe, like the flat Earth thing. We're like a little UFO in space because we're flat. You know what I mean? Just kidding. But somewhere on that plate, there's other countries that are all at war with each other. Let's rumble in the jungle. CS drivers, I remember that. Rumble in the jungle, or are you talking about? Yeah, silver and gold. None of that's going to help in a time of wrath. If God is pouring out his judgments, the key is to be prepped with the Most High God in your heart being right. Having peace to guide you, to knowing where to go and how to do things. You have the ability to survive. Survival is an instinct that we have naturally, but at a certain point, we got to yield even that up to God. We got to yield up even our instinct to survive to God himself. When we're in a time of great tribulation, and if we are truly in the latter day, prophetically speaking, if you're a believer and you know your Bible and you think that that's where we may be at, because it all seems to be lining up to some of the prophecies. If you're familiar with your Bible, and if you've been coming to our devotionals and scripture readings, and you're familiar with your Bible, you'll know what I'm talking about. I get into pretty deep topics and discussions with you on a regular basis on the other channel, the BP Ministries channel. If you're not a part of the BP Ministries channel, go subscribe there and start watching some of the videos. We talk in depth and at length on these topics, and really about hearing from God on very specific details in preparation for what's happening, and knowing where we're at on that timeline. Do you know where you're at? In history, do you know where you're at? Do you know how to face the things that are coming down the pike? Do you see them coming? You got to be able to see things before they get to you. This is why a lot of people like our channel, because we give people heads up before they happen. We did it during COVID. We told people beforehand the food was going to disappear off the shelves. We told people the supply chain was going to go down before it went down. This is why the satellite phone store lady, this is why she liked me and gave me a job, was because I told her ahead of time what was coming. And she prepared, and she benefited from it. She said she's a believer, and she took it as a word from the Lord. I told her, I said, I believe this is what the Lord is showing me is what's going to happen. And so she prepared. I told people that the masks were going to disappear. I said, the masks are going to disappear, you guys. They're going to be like $10 a piece, $15 a piece. People were laughing and mocking and saying, oh, you're stupid. I can still get them for like 25 cents. I said, you better get them. I said, they're going to all disappear, and you're going to be paying a huge amount of money. Well, that's what we did. When we didn't have a whole lot of support at the time. At that time, I was just living off of YouTube AdSense, and I was like, okay, well, this is going to be our means of support. Since people are going to need these, we're going to stock up on them, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to give away. We gave a lot of masks away, but we told people, hey, we told you to get them for for a whole month. I told people ahead of time, get them. And now we stockpiled them, and now we had enough to give to all of our listeners. And we had so many, we sent out so many masks. And like I said, the masks themselves didn't, it was a symbolic message in the mask. It was knowing what was coming. It wasn't so much the mask was going to help you, because the mask couldn't help you. In fact, the mask was a symbol of them muzzling us anyway. They were trying to stop our breath. When it talks about the breath, the word is like a breath. When you speak, it delivers a message that And when your breath is, not only is it toxic when it doesn't get out, it's almost like it's like your message is being thwarted. And that's what the whole mask thing was all about. It wasn't really saving anybody. In fact, it was making people sicker. They were already sick with other things. But it was more of it capitalized on the fear. It capitalized on, people were thinking they were going to get safe by, there were people that were dousing themselves with chemicals trying to purify their bodies. And I heard people that were doing crazy things. Remember how crazy it was? People were like putting plastic all over their bodies. They were spraying themselves with, disinfectants. And people were freaking out. But that's what happened when fear takes over. People do crazy things. So we don't want to be guided by fear. We want to be guided by an understanding of what's really happening. So what's going on right now is causing some people some fear. And we need to be having our head on right by, appealing to God and asking for his direction and asking for his wisdom. Now, here's that big Trump supporter, Big Bill Mitchell, and I think he's in Congress, or he might be one of the reps. I'm not sure exactly what his position is. But he did this poll. I stand with President Trump 100% on his H-1B policies. Who is with me? That is just so funny. Who is with me? Nobody. 92% were against. The 10,722 votes. I calculated it out on a calculator. What is 7.6%? It's about 800 people. 800 people said, yeah, I'm with you. And about 10,000 people said, no, we're not with you. 10,000 people said they were not with Trump. If this is an indicator of what's going on in MAGA land, this is bad. It's pretty bad. So Thomas Massie, the guy who authored the bill to release all the Epstein files, says that Trump directly pressured GOP holdouts, Boebert, Mace, MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, to abandon the Epstein files petition. President Trump and his team have been working to get GOP reps Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, to remove their names from a discharge petition that would force the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Axios has learned. Now, I'm not sure if he succeeded. Let me see if he succeeded here. And this was dated, this Axios article was dated, you know what, it doesn't even give the date on here. Was this yesterday or today? I don't even know. I think it might have been today. All right, so let's get through the rest of this. There's other news that I wanted to talk to you about here real quick. Newswire says Trump personally called Rep. Lauren Boebert, urging her to withdraw support for the bill releasing Epstein files. He only needs one person to back down so that it stops. He only needs one person. So he'll probably end up getting one of them to do that. Federal agents in West Virginia training are in West Virginia are training to redeploy to major cities. Federal agents. This may have to do with the ICE thing because a lot of ICE officers are being attacked. It says it's coming. Border Patrol chief says, quote, "You can guarantee it. The Title 8 mission is going to continue." Title 8. So I guess that has something to do with the illegals, right? The U.S. State Secretary confirmed for the first time that Russia demands the entire territory of the DPR from Ukraine. It says, quote, "We can only judge by what we see. They have clearly stated that they want all of Donetsk. And of course, the Ukrainians will not agree to that. So yes, that is the conclusion we have to draw. They have made demands that Ukraine cannot accept, and we are now at that point," Rubio says. So the Russians want a certain amount of territory, I guess, for peace, and the Ukrainians aren't willing to give in. So the war continues. Trump weighs updated military options for Venezuela. Possible land strikes included. No final decision yet has been made. The USS Gerald Ford already near Venezuela, along with the flotilla of destroyers and warplanes. I'm sure there's already been some kind of decision made. COVID lockdown model for digital ID deployment. Let's take a listen to this. Or let's watch this. How's that? If we can just watch it. Let's take a look. Let me pull it up here really quick. All right.
The digital ID provides government the ability to track, analyze, predict, and control a person's private activities. It is the antithesis of individual freedom and will not require an implantable chip, as many have feared for decades. Evidence clearly shows that biometrics, such as fingerprints and facial scans, will do the job much more efficiently. And the aftermath of the COVID lockdown shows us how it will be deployed. During the COVID era, government said that masks were recommended, while private companies said, no mask, no entry. And the public overwhelmingly complied, but not with an overreaching government. They complied with the grocery store to buy food, the airlines to travel, and their own banks to access money. Looking back, it is quite clear the COVID lockdowns provided an opportunity to beta test digital ID compliance through private company mandates and helped normalize the use of QR scans and facial pics for entry into private businesses. And it proved to be a success. Now we are seeing the same techniques being used with the rollout of the digital ID. The gold standard for biometric regulation was written in 2008 as the Illinois Biometric Information Privacy Act and is being replicated all over the United States. It mandates that private entities obtain written consent before collecting biometrics, disclose their policies, and destroy data after a set period. And most importantly, it exempts government entities entirely, allowing state and federal government to collect and utilize biometric data while passing the liability to private corporations. These laws have been met with over 1,000 class action lawsuits since 2015, which resulted in the standardization of consent prompts in apps and services, such as Affirm's biometric consent, which now states, by clicking accept or proceeding, you consent to collection of biometric data. Click a button and you're in the new system. If government were to mandate the digital ID, it would predictably ignite mass protest. We can see this happening today in the UK. The United States will avoid this by utilizing the private sector in what appears to be voluntary action. The FBI's Clearview AI has harvested over 30 billion faces from social media. And because Clearview is technically a private company, the FBI has access to all this without the need for asking. In over 43 states, the Department of Motor Vehicles have sold driver's license photos to private firms who resold to local police for facial recognition. The government doesn't need to mandate biometric ID, which would most likely be considered a violation of American rights. And so it outsources the mandate to private companies who are legally required to get consent, while the government is free to collect and utilize this data under legal immunity. Just like the COVID era, you will be free to give consent, but if you choose not to, you will have to leave the reservation and find a way to fend for yourself. Greg Reese reporting.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Yep. It's really about putting a gun to your head, but really not really saying that they're actually doing it. It's like, yeah, you're free to do whatever you want to do, but you're probably going to die. You're free to reject the mark of the beast, but you're not going to be able to buy or sell. And if you do happen to survive, well, we're just going to come hunt you down, and you're probably one of those terrorists anyway, because terrorists are the only one that don't submit to the system, right? But anyways, let's see what else we got here. President Trump is set to attend the World Economic Forum in Davos this January. So what, just another month or so away, a little over a month, and Trump will be there hanging out with Klaus Schwab, eating and drinking and being merry, preparing for the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is going to come. It's not like just little ripples. It is like a tsunami. It's happening now. It's not into the future. It's happening now. They're going to lay out the red carpet for Trump. They're going to let him walk right in, sit right down. And his daughter, his daughter works. Trump's daughter's really deeply embedded within the World Economic Forum, too. Yes, they're all swamp creatures. Did you see this? Trump, there's a new weapon, a new nuclear weapon that hasn't really been released to the public or any pictures or anything. There's just people have known about it, but they don't have any official release of photos. Well, Trump wanted that to be out there, so he flew one of these B-52 bombers really low so that people would take pictures of it, and it would get released to the public so that the Russians would know that, hey, we have these bombs now, and they're on our planes as we speak, flying around. So this is what it says. Amateur photographers in the U.S. managed to capture the heavy B-52H bomber twice in a short period with a prototype of the newest nuclear air-launched cruise missile, the LRSO, which had never publicly been shown before. There it is right there. It's now public. American experts believe that this is not a twice occurring leak caused by negligence of the American military, but a Pentagon response to the test of the Russian nuclear cruise missile Berezhnik. And that's the hypersonic cruise missile test that Russia just did. I don't know. I guess they can be also land-based, submarine-based, and they have the potential to have like a number of warheads. So when they come in from space, they're coming in at such high velocity. There's no way you can stop them, but they'll have like 10 or 15. I don't even know. I think it's like, I know it's more than 10 other warheads that are coming down at the same time. Scary. All right, so what else do we got here? Let's see. Here's Laura Loomer losing it. She's like, I sent the White House the photos, the videos, information about Jelani's massacres. She's talking about the ISIS leader, the leader at formerly Al-Qaeda that's now the president's good friend, invited right into the White House that's ruling Syria. Well, he's a tough cookie, but I like him. Yeah, he lives in a tough part of the world. He's had to be tough, but I like him. He's cut off a lot of American heads, but I like him. You know, he's turning over a new leaf, maybe. We can only hope. This is a new era of hope and miracles in the Middle East. We got miracles coming. Maybe he's gotten saved. Maybe he received Jesus. We don't know. But we believe miracles are here now. So Laura Loomer's like, I sent the photos and the videos and the information about Giuliani's massacres days before his meeting with President Trump. I sent them while I was on the Syrian border. I was there. I was looking at all the massacres. I did this because people need to see what's really happening on the ground in Syria. I spent time at the Syrian border talking to the Druze minorities who are being persecuted, hearing their stories and seeing evidence of the atrocities firsthand. It stays with you in a way that headlines can never convey. What's happening in Syria isn't some distant conflict. The same jihadist networks terrorizing religious minorities in Syria are trying to gain legitimacy in the U.S., and people need to understand the implications of that. And then she says, it's been very upsetting this week, but I tried my best. Trump didn't listen. He invited him in. And so what does Israel say now? Israel is now talking about backing away from U.S. empire's protection militarily. Who are they going to have protection from? Where are they going to get their protection now? Because Netanyahu was seen reading a book about how the Jews in days gone by history, the Roman versus the Jews, and how we lost. He said, they asked him, what are you reading? And he told them. And he said, yeah, we lost one war to Rome, but this time we're not gonna let that happen. Right? Who's Rome? Oh, Rome represents the Western nations, according to Judaism. They're coming into their glory, right? They're going to be the ones that are going to be ruling the whole world, according to the Talmud and the Torah, right? Prophetically speaking, they're misinterpreting the Messianic scriptures, though. But they're saying that their Messiah is going to help them to rule the world under their authority, right? And I went into the deep dive on that a few times. I'm not going to do that right now, but I can tell you all about that and how they believe Trump is their Messiah. Now, Trump, I think, is going to be the one that betrays not just MAGA, but also Israel. He's already betrayed them at one point. It was all headlines. Trump betrays Israel. Trump betrays Israel. And if you remember, I told everybody ahead of time before that happened that he was going to betray Israel right before. See, I think I got a heads up on this. It was kind of weird. If you'll go back to the time when the headline said Trump betrays Israel, it was about a day or two before that I told everybody Trump's going to betray Israel. And then all of a sudden it was headlines. And then I said, okay, now that that's happened, he's going to betray MAGA. And that's when the Epstein files were rejected. You remember they all were going to come out and then everybody was saying, we need the Epstein files. We need the Epstein files. And Trump told his whole base. That was right at the same time that we betrayed Israel. So the headlines were betrayed Israel. And then right after that, I said, now he's going to betray MAGA. And then that came out in the news right after that. So how did we know that? There was no way for us to know that. But we predicted it, and it was headlines. We've had many things like this happen for those who are following our channel. You know that we predicted stuff before it's happened. How do we do it? Well, I'll just tell you this. We pray a lot. We look at the news. We see the trends. We see patterns. We also hear clearly, and I would say prophetically, about things that are coming. And every Christian has that ability. It's not just, and I'm not just talking about what you might say is a prophet. I just say spiritually speaking, we all have the Spirit of God that gives us a heads up of things to come, it says. If you're a believer and you're a Christian, you should have the Spirit of truth. You should have the Spirit that leads you into all truth and that shows you things to come and that gives you the ability to participate in the powers of the world to come, as it says. So are you living in an eternal connection and relationship to God, who is above time and space, who sees the end from the beginning, who doesn't do anything except he first reveals his secrets unto his servants? Are you one of his servants? Well, then you can expect God to give you a heads up. I don't doubt that God doesn't give us heads up on things that are happening. All right, so let's look at some of this stuff going on here on the Twitter pages. And I think we'll be wrapping it up here in a minute. Germany is getting ready for war. Germany will require all men to sign up for potential military service on January 1st, 2026. Is it coming to America? You can bet your bottom dollar. They're going to have a draft. They're going to be conscripting people. Are they going to be doing what they did in Ukraine? Hunting people down, throwing them into vans, sending them out into the meat grinder on the front line to die? Depends on how bad it gets. But this man just posted this, and he is a Swedish journalist, political commentator, supporter of freedom. He has almost 1 million followers, 910,000 followers. And people were asking him in the comments, Grok, is this true? Can this actually be true? Are they literally reinstituting the draft in preparation for war in Europe? And Grok says, yes, this is accurate. Germany's coalition has finalized a law requiring all 18-year-old men to complete an online questionnaire for potential military service starting January 1st, 2026. This replaces suspended conscription with mandatory registration to gauge interest and fitness. Well, I don't even know if they did it here in America, how many people would even be fit for service. Most people are fat and have been GMO'd to death and have all kinds of diseases and ailments and can't even run down the stairs without possibly having a heart attack. U.S. State Department names 4 Antifa groups as foreign terror organizations. So now they're naming Antifa groups. They're going to start going after these foreign groups. Or at least Antifa groups that might be in the United States that are connected to foreign organizations, right? I don't know how you define Antifa because they're not really an organization that has any kind of central command or any kind of structure that you might think. It's more a self-styled ideology that motivates people to do certain things, and they're loosely kind of affiliated. So maybe that's why they're saying there's 4 different types or 4 different ones that they're picking as being Antifa. But like I said, they're all independent, and they're very small groups. It's just like groups that are, I think they all have kind of an identity individually, but like I said, there are many, many of these groups. So just to designate 4 of them, I don't know how you would define them if they just say, hey, they're all dressing in black. They have kind of a mode of operation when they do these protests. I know there are some that are more violent, but they're talking about ones that are in Europe right now, I think. In Germany and yeah. Well, here's Benjamin Netanyahu announcing that Israel is preparing to completely end its reliance on U.S. military aid. He says his goal is to make Israel's arms industry entirely self-sufficient. Netanyahu says Israel never asks the United States to fight its wars. Really. They just hold intelligence that they've gained over their heads in expectation of complying with their unspoken needs. Jeffrey Epstein. You remember what you did over there? We need some help. But we're not going to ask you. We're just going to, And this was the Tom Rines. Okay, so this was actually reposted by Edward Dowd. Tom Rines is a conservative commentator. He has 350,000 followers, and he was the one that wrote this about Trump. And then Edward Dowd reposted it, and he has 388,000 followers himself. So this has gone out to, I'm sure millions of people have seen this that are Maha and MAGA and Goo Goo and Gaga. Yep. So let's see what else we got here. I think that's about it. Am I missing anything? Let me see if I got anything else I'm missing here. Let's see. How many of you guys saw the auroras? I guess there's some pretty amazing auroras coming onto planet Earth now because of these solar flares hitting the atmosphere. Now, this was another thing that I was thinking about because I read an article that said they just launched, I think Bezos just launched a rocket into space that actually boosters came, landing on its own, kind of like Elon Musk's does. And they were all cheering and going crazy over that. Let me see if I could find that footage. What was crazy about this is that it, let's see if I can find that. Hold on. There's something I wanted to explain here to you on this. Where did I see that? Let me look at my history real quick because this is important. So I think it was Bezos. Anyways, he's doing his rocket program, and they're putting stuff into space, right? And so they're wanting to send a rocket to Mars, or a probe, right? A probe to Mars, to analyze why is Mars's atmosphere being destroyed by the sun. The sun is destroying Mars' atmosphere. Well, Mars is farther out than the Earth, so you would expect, well, if the sun is destroying the atmosphere on Mars, then wouldn't that be affecting Earth's atmosphere because we're a little bit closer? Well, yeah. Is this why they're spraying our skies? Supposedly this was the cover for trying to deflect solar radiation, and they're spraying our skies, pretending like we're stupid or crazy if we in any way have been making statements about chemtrails. Chemtrails have been confirmed to be truly an operational program by the government of the world, governments of the world, not just the U.S. government. But they're putting all kinds of chemicals and particles, nanoparticles, into the skies through programs that are either unknown to the pilots of commercial planes, but also to those that are known on military-type operations or planes that are flying through our skies that leave these particles, scattering them all over hither and yon. And what are they doing to us? What are they doing to our Earth? What are they doing to our physical bodies? How are they affected? It's aluminum and barium. These are nanoparticles. They're so small, but they're putting out tons and tons, millions of tons of this stuff into our atmosphere. And because it's nano, it stays aloft longer in the atmosphere. And I guess it acts as some kind of reflector, but at the same time, you wonder if they're doing this on purpose. Are they wanting to change weather patterns, or are they just wanting to, is this like smart dust? Have you ever heard of smart dust? Smart dust is stuff the military puts out, I guess, it affects everything, but they're able to use it as some kind of, like, it's almost like an antenna. It can track and monitor things that it's in contact with, and it's all connected and through some kind of radio frequency. I don't know if it's radio frequency. I mean, I've done a little research on the smart dust, but I'm kind of wondering if it's somehow connected to that. Smart dust technology, it basically is, right here, it's, if you've never really looked into this, it's tiny wireless micro electromagnetical systems, or memes, that's good, sensors. They're sensors. They're small as a grain of sand that can collect and transmit data about their environment, and they're spread all over the place through planes, right? These sensors can measure variables like temperature, light, and sound, and are designed to be employed in large numbers to monitor everything from crops and equipment to human health and security. The concept first proposed, I'm sure you could breathe them in, I'm guessing. I mean, and it's a form of the Internet of Things. Remember, we talked about Internet of Bodies, Internet of Things, Internet of Eyes. The Internet of Eyes is camera systems that are all connected through AI and quantum computing databases that are being guided by 5G and beamed through satellite. You got all this stuff that Elon Musk is doing with satellites to beam internet everywhere, and that's for the purpose of collecting data. That's not to make it easy for you to get access to the internet. This is actually connecting human bodies and human in the environment of the planet so that it can be tracked, traced, and tagged and bagged, right? So this is all what this is. Internet of Bodies, Internet of Things, they call it IoT, or Internet of Bodies, which is your body becomes a node of the internet, where you're actually a transmitter and a receiver, where the internet itself can actually be in your physical body, in the cells, through nanotechnologies. I mean, if you haven't been really up on all this stuff, this is how they're going to connect you to the AI, right? Through the cerebral cortex. How do they get this technology in your body? Well, it could be the dust, the smart dust or whatever, but it also could be, as Elon said, injected through your veins and arteries. That's interesting. So they can actually connect your cerebral cortex. They can actually put that interface of nanotech into your body through your veins and arteries, which goes through your blood into your blood-brain barrier, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and then gets into your cerebral cortex and connects you and makes you like a cyborg, where you have now an interface between you and the AI, and it self-replicates, and maybe it creates its own infrastructure within your own brain, right? It's not a chip that they have to insert surgically. They can do it through your veins and arteries. It's right there. Elon himself says it on video. We've got it all. We've chronicled all this stuff. So it says these sensors can measure variables like temperature, light, sound, and are designed to be deployed in large numbers to monitor everything from crops and equipment to human health and security. How would they monitor your health? Because they're in your body. The concept first proposed in the 1990s is a form of the Internet of Things that involves miniaturization and networking of sensors for real-time data collection. Real-time. Like right now. Like, boom. You're probably being monitored right now with sensors everywhere, and you don't even know it. Because, well, it's smart dust.
Smart dust technology. Smart dust refers to tiny wireless microelectromechanical sensors, MEMS, that can monitor environmental conditions and collect real-time data. These miniature devices, often smaller than a grain of sand, contain sensors, processors, wireless transmitters, and power sources, allowing them to operate autonomously in various environments. One major application of smart dust is in environmental monitoring. These tiny sensors can be deployed in forests to detect wildfires, in oceans to monitor pollution levels, or in cities to track air quality and temperature changes. In healthcare, smart dust can be used inside the human body for biomedical monitoring. For example, implantable smart dust particles can track glucose levels, detect early signs of disease, or even assist in drug delivery by sending real-time data to doctors. Military and security applications include using smart dust for covert surveillance and battlefield monitoring. Deployed in hostile areas, these sensors can track movements, detect chemical threats, or gather intelligence without being detected. Manufacturing and industrial sectors also benefit from smart dust, as these sensors can monitor equipment performance, detect structural weaknesses in buildings, or optimize supply chain logistics. With their ability to gather precise, real-time data in virtually any environment, smart dust has the potential to revolutionize healthcare, security, environmental science, and industry, paving the way for smarter, more connected systems.
And you thought it was just a vaccine. Now you're going to have smart dust inside your body and your brain. What do you think? Kind of crazy, huh? We're going to become living robots. Mr. Roboto. Origato, Mr. Roboto. All right, let's see what else we got before we go. I think we're about up. Let's see. Dr. Stephen Hatfield says, Susie Wiles has crushed Maha. They've jumped into bed with Big Pharma. There's not going to be any criminal prosecution of Fauci. There's not going to be any RICOs. You're not going to break Pfizer up. In fact, Trump is giving them more money. Gray Delay and Dr. Hatfield were both fired from HHS for no apparent reason. I guess they're on now talking about it. Now Daly alleges that HHS Chief of Staff Matt Buckingham and Deputy Chief of Staff Stephanie Spear are gatekeeping RFK Jr. and pushing out his strongest health freedom allies. Oh, that's because RFK is allowing it, because he knows that if he stops it, he's going to be fired himself, and or something terrible could happen, some accident. He's got to go along with it, or he'll follow in the suit of his brother and his brothers that went before him, or his dad and his uncle. Remember? He doesn't want to be RFK'd or JFK'd because he's Junior. You know, happened to what Junior? JFK Jr., just an accident. Kind of flew off course and crashed into the ocean. So he's going to go along with this. Dr. Mary Bowden, Stephanie Spear says Stephanie Spear has to approve any media appearance. Delaney, everything, every tweet, every media appearance is watched over for RFK Jr. Dr. Hatfield says this woman is destroying Mr. Kennedy. And Hatfield says that behind it all is Susie Wiles, President Trump's chief of staff. Wiles. Wile E. Coyote, super genius. Wile E. Coyote, super genius. Trump is a super genius. Remember? He said, I'm a super genius. That's why we got the Genius Act, because he's a genius. Let's see. What the heck is this?
My name is Tiffany Dofer, and I am the manager in CCU.
Yeah, whatever happened to that lady? Remember that? Remember that? Let me show you this here. How many of you guys remember this?
My name is Tiffany Dofer, and I am the manager in CCU. For my team, we are in the COVID unit, so therefore, my team will be getting first chances to get the vaccine. And I know that it's really, I'm feeling really dizzy. I'm sorry.
Sure. You can get one. It's good for you. It's safe and effective. This was the very first one. Remember that gal? Remember her? And they were trying to find out where she was, and she probably died, but they didn't want anybody to know. Because there was a lot of people dying from it. They didn't want anybody to know. It was very scripted, very information that was blacked out from the public, because didn't want to cause vaccine hesitancy, did we? We didn't want no vaccine hesitancy. Can't be hesitant because, the population is a guinea pig, and we got to find the results. We got to be able to figure out what works and what doesn't work. This is a big test, and you're all guinea pigs. That's why it's an emergency use authorization, because nobody's going to be held liable when you die, because under emergency use authorization, it doesn't matter. You gave up your right to have any kind of recourse. You don't have to read any inserts that tell you what's in it because it's not required. There is no informed consent. You just do what they tell you because it's an emergency, and we need you. You're recruited. You're like one of those that are helping to, save humanity. You're like one of the guinea pigs that could very well save humanity. So please do everything you can. UK digital ID changes to vehicle licensing rules. This is coming from, I'm getting a bunch of more information here. Hold on. From October 12th, 2025, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency has rolled out one of the biggest overhauls to license renewal rules in decades, this time focused on drivers aged 62 and above. This is in the UK. The changes bring in, here's what's coming to America: compulsory medical and eyesight checks at renewal, and reduce the renewal cycle to every 3 years, allowing for closer monitoring of health and fitness to drive. New digital driver license system. The DVLA shift towards digital first renewals is a key part of the 2025 reforms. Upload medical and eye test certifications online. Update license photos without having to visit DVLA offices. Track renewal progress 24/7 via secure login. 2-factor authentication and facial recognition security to prevent identity fraud. The new digital platform is built for accessibility, says Tom Allison. Large text and clear instructions, dedicated phone support make online renewals easier for older users. Future plans, full digital transition by 2030. It's also set a roadmap to complete its transition to fully digital license renewals by 2030, phasing out most paper-based applications. This means that digital licenses will replace physical cards for many users. That means you have to have a cell phone, right? Or it may be that they're saying cell phones eventually are going to be phased out and it's going to be an internal physical body type of tracking and tracing ID that's going to be in your physical body. So that would be biometric identification implant, not just biometric identifiers like your facial recognition or your fingerprint or something. It's going to actually be an identification that's in your body that will transmit all your data. Like, so you don't even have, like, just wave your hand when you, or when you go into a grocery store, it'll track who you are, your bank account, everything is going to be in your person, not on you, but in you. And then you can just pick up items out of the store that will all be digitally surveilled and electronically surveilled. And you can just walk out the store and it'll just put it right on your account. Click, it's on your account in your body, because your body is also a detector or a transmitter, right? And so everything will be transmitted through your body. You're going to be detected. All the items that you have in your hand will be detected, and it will debit it right out of your account. Easy peasy. Health and vision verification will integrate directly with NHS databases. What is that? National Health Care Services, right? So everything will be integrated. Driving status can be instantly verified by police or insurers through secure online systems. From October 25, over 62 drivers can choose to get digital driver's license through. So this is being rolled out right now. So you can choose. Right now, it's just choice. If you decide to do it, you can get it now, and that's happening as we speak. Crazy, isn't it? This is coming to America. Let's see what else we got here. It's getting painfully obvious for those of you who are on other major social media platforms like Twitter. You can see that hundreds of thousands of people are acknowledging the fraud. What would that fraud be? You might ask. What would that fraud be? Well, let's see. Let's see what Trump says here. I'm kind of curious. Are we talking about Trump? Trump would never defraud us, would he? He would never do that. He loves us. He cares for us. He's the Messiah of the world. He would never do anything to harm his base.
We have a 92% approval rating. We took that up from 38%. We have a 92% approval rating.
You know what's weird is that 92% approval rating, if you go over, that was from Jane Ruby. If you go over here and you tell me if this looks like a 92% approval rating. Where did I put that approval? Look at this. Here it is right here. 92. What? So he just turned it around. Look at this. A 92% approval rating. This is the 92% he's talking about, except it's flipped around. You see how he gaslights? This is verified on Bill Mitchell's Twitter page. This is completely flipped around. I'm telling you, he's so full of hot air. It's not even funny. And people still believe this. They're still mesmerized, thinking that he's going to make it all better. 92%, he said. Let's listen to that again. Let's listen to that again.
We have a 92%
Wait. Let's listen to that again.
We have a 92% approval rating. We took that up from 38%. We have a 92% approval rating.
Where does he get those numbers, man? I'm telling you, like, it's the hottest economy ever. We're hot, hot, hot. Everybody wants to be us. Everybody wants to be here because it's a hot economy. Our dollar is strong like it's never been before. Stock market up. It's amazing. It's so hot I can feel the heat. It's like, it just radiates because the whole economy is on fire. It's like, it's burning down the house. I guess that's the hot economy we're talking about. Let's see here. Hold on. Before I go, let's see what else I got here. I got a little bit more. Venezuela identifies the U.S. as the aggressor for the militarization of the Caribbean and demands that the UN condemn the threat. What is this one?
It's something that I think is going to be quite important, and there's not. I don't know of a company that's working on it seriously. Is a neural lace. So going back to the AI situation, this is quite important.
Okay, this is where they talk about the implant in the brain. Okay, so my wife just pulled this up so that you can see it. Okay, so look at this guy on the left. This older man, this older gentleman. He's all excited. Like, really? This is great. So they're gonna just like surgically implant this in our brains? Oh, this is so exciting. This is so exciting. They're gonna cut open our heads and stick a chip in our brain? How exciting! And then Elon's like, he's like he's in another world. Like, like he's like looking for words from like some space alien. Please, aliens, give me the information that I need to convey to the world how easy this is going to be, painless.
Quite an important debate. Like if you assume any rate of advancement in AI, we will be left behind by a lot, and so then we could be in benign situation. But even the benign situation, if you have if you have ultra intelligent AI, we would be, so far below them in intelligence that it would be like, a pet, basically.
Cat, that's what I was thinking.
Like a pet.
Cat,
like a cat. Like a cat.
Elon
like
the
a house cat. Yeah,
right.
it would be like the house cat.
Right.
It's not the end of the world,
Well,
sort of pet.
You've seen the movie, it could be. Yeah.
It could be. Honestly, that would be the benign scenario.
Mm-hmm. So house cat is okay.
I mean, I don't love the idea of being a house cat.
Okay.
But that.
So what's the solution?
Yeah. So I think I think it's to essentially. I think one of the solutions, the solution that seems maybe the best one, is to have an AI layer. If you think of like you've got your limbic system, your cortex, and then a digital layer, a sort of a third layer above the cortex, that could work well and symbiotically with you. I mean, just as your cortex works symbiotically with your limbic system, your sort of a third digital layer could work symbiotically with the rest.
This is something that's surgically inserted or bred into the species, or what?
The fundamental limitation is input-output. So we already have, we're already a cyborg. It's just that, I mean, you have a digital version of yourself or partial version of yourself online in the form of your emails and your social media and all the things that you do. And you have basically superpowers in that with your computer and your phone and the applications that are there. You have more power than the President of the United States had 20 years ago. Like you can answer any question, you can video conference with anyone anywhere, you can send a message to millions of people instantly. You know, you can just do incredible things. And but the constraint is input output. So we're I/O bound, particularly output bound. I mean, like your output level is so low. It's like, particularly on a phone, like your two thumbs just sort of tapping away. This is ridiculously slow. Our input is much better because we have a high bandwidth visual interface to the brain. Like our eyes take in a lot of data. So there's many orders of magnitude difference between input and output. So mostly, effectively merging in a symbiotic way with digital intelligence revolves around eliminating the I/O constraint. So it'd be some sort of direct cortical interface.
And you called it a neural lace?
Neural lace, yeah.
It's totally not Google Glass, right?
Okay, now listen to this part right here. This is the part where he starts talking about how to get it into your head. How do you get it into your cerebral cortex so that you can be the interface for the AI, so that your brain can actually interface with the AI, so that we don't become cats or pets to the AI, you know, like, or a little ant. He gave another illustration of like an ant hill. Well, you know, the AI doesn't really care. It's kind of like when you build a freeway and there's an anthill there. You don't really think about destroying the anthill. You just move it out of the way. No hard feelings. You just move it out of the way. The same thing with AI. It's going to say, oh, humans, well, they're kind of in the way, so let's just move them out of the way. No hard feelings. You're just not needed. So listen to what he says. This is so that we don't become extinct. This is how we save ourselves from the demon that is the AI, right? Elon says the demon is the AI. It's already been loose. The only thing we can do now is join it. We have to merge with it. The only way we're going to survive as a species is if we merge with it. So here's his explanation on how we merge with the AI.
No, I'm talking about something
but it's
which...
like you wear it? Or you...
No, I mean, it would be... I mean, there are a few ways to approach this, but some sort of interface directly with your cortical neurons particularly.
But doesn't that imply surgical insertion?
Not necessarily. You could go through the veins and arteries because that provides a complete roadway to all of your neurons. Your neurons are very heavy users of energy, so they need high blood flow. So you automatically, with your veins and arteries, have a road network to your neurons.
Still some kind of surgery, right?
Yes, but you could insert something, you know, basically, you know, into the jugular and have. It gets macabre, but
it sounds really easy and
it doesn't involve
risk-free.
It doesn't involve, you know, like trouble.
It sounds so easy. It sounds so amazing. Let's just stick it into our jugular vein, right into our brains. We'll become one with the AI. This is so exciting. Anyways, let's see. What else do we got here? Oh, let's see. Video shared on social media shows U.S. Marine Corps F-35B Lightning II-S armed with AIM-90X Sidewinders. Air-to-air missile assigned to the Vikings of Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 225 seen conducting routine operations over the U.S. Southern Command area of responsibility in late October. So this is an old video. What is this? Let me see. We can look at this. All right, so, okay, so what is that? That's just, I guess, showing that they have sidewinders. All right. Cool. Right on. All righty. I guess that's it, guys. It was very nice hanging out with you again, once again. God bless. I pray that you're all going to be focused and ready for all the things that are coming upon us. And we'll try to give you guys a heads up on things that we see coming in. So prepare in every way. I appreciate all you guys out there that are hanging with us on social media, that are connected to our inner core updates. So become a member. We're going to be doing more member meetings here on YouTube. And we are still talking about doing a reboot of our meeting that we usually have. You know, I keep thinking, though, that, you know, we're doing stuff on YouTube as a fellowship gathering for those who are tapped into our spiritual side of things. That's really a very rich source of information that I really look to as being a real motivating factor and really the core of what I do, and everything that I do online. So that to me is, you know, is very important that people are connected on that are the core of what we do in that group. And it's a small group. It's not really big. It's like, but maybe there's a couple hundred people that watch, but normally on a regular basis, we get like 30 to 40 people there live. And that could be like our interacting kind of meeting. But I think that with the Zoom fellowship context or platform, there's a little more interaction. And I'm kind of wondering if we should open up that door for more interaction. It does cost us money. And right now, money is something that we're just praying that we need the supplies to do certain things a little extra to go over and above and beyond. Because that's really a big, you know, that's a big time investment of time, and time equals money in the real world. And so we're praying for that allotment of time and money. So if we can gain a little more investment from the users that want to participate, then we have a few that are regulars. Now, we've had many people over the time that we've been doing this that periodically will help, and many times that has been very much appreciated. It's always appreciated, but it has met many needs along the way. But we need regular people that are going to continue to come on board. And look at it like some people don't have a church fellowship that they're involved in, and I'm talking only to those who are in the faith. If you're just coming here to get news, then you can be one of the ones that we're reaching out to eventually get on board. But the ones that are in the faith, that see this as a mission, that look at this as a ministry, that look at this as an outreach, then you should be investing in where you think the best, where you're the most bang for your buck, right? And look at us as being that. I don't know if you would say missionaries, but we're all doing this together, because I believe that the chat room is a place where people really look many times to gaining information and camaraderie and fellowship. But instead of just a text chat, we wanted to try to bring on the Zoom interactive platform, because you can get on your camera or your microphone, and you can voice some, maybe you got prayer requests or needs that need to be addressed, and or sharing a gift that you have. And I'm not just talking about monetary gifts, I'm talking about spiritual gifts. You might be able to help or educate or instruct or facilitate some kind of growth in another brother or sister. That's what the body of Christ is. And I look at it as an online church, but a real online church, not like some people would say, oh, this is an online church and we're just hanging out here and I'm just monologuing and you're just sitting back taking it all in. I really want to try to interact with people. And I know that whenever you do, there's all kinds of problems that arise. We've had many situations that arise within that kind of context, because people are human and they've got a lot of issues, especially people online. But, when you can't find good churches in your local area, what do? You look to become the church. You become a part of another group that you find. Maybe it's like, it almost kind of seems like a surrogate, but it is a lot more virtual, where it becomes more personal when you get on camera, when you do talk on the microphone, when you do engage and actually participate in the outreach, where you become a part of a working member. You're not just sitting back, here, you go do the work. This is what a lot of people in church do. They give to their church and they say, you guys are doing the work of the ministry. Here you go. We did our part. And in a certain way, I mean, that could be okay, because really your money is your time. It represents a portion of your life that you're giving to somebody. And it frees them to do things that normally they wouldn't do, because time does equal money, right? So the more resources you have, the better you're able to accomplish goals. But I think the real essence of what we're trying to convey here is that we are all workers in the field, and we all need to get out and actually do something. It's kind of like keyboard warrior as opposed to someone that understands real world activities. Like, how do you, just give you an example. When the crap hits the fan, are you going to be able to survive with skills that you've learned? Have you actually practiced those skills? Do you know how to make bread? Do you know how to make flour? Do you know how to grow a garden? Do you know how to process? Do you know how to prepare? Do you know how to save, like root cellars type thing, where these things are skills that need to be implemented, not just theorized. Well, I watched a video on it. I kind of understand, but no, have you ever actually done it? Have you actually gone out and spoken to somebody about Jesus? Have you shared your faith? Have you prayed with somebody ever that had a need? Did you see God touch them? Did you see them get healed? Did you see them get saved? Have you ever been actually doing something like that? Or is it just your pastor that does that and you just kind of, and I'm not saying that that's, that you're supporting your pastor by donating, but I would say encourage through teaching and instruction to get out and do it yourself. And that way you're working together for a common goal, and you're pooling your resources where, as the Bible says, one can set 1,000 to flight, two can set 10,000. There's a multiplication of your efforts. So we can pool the resource of our time and our talents and see a greater impact on a wider scale And this is what I look at as the internet. We have the ability on the platform that we have to have a greater outreach or a farther reach. And if you say, well, this is like a church, well, it is kind of in a certain way. I mean, if you go to a church and you talk to 500 people, that's a pretty good sized church. I go on our ministries channel and I'll reach 3 or 4 or 500 people every time I go on. So you can say, well, that's a pretty good sized church. Well, think about it here. Well, this isn't really a church, but there are many people that do believe, maybe nominally, maybe they're questioning, maybe they're just searching, but there's many people that do come here that listen that are believers and that do pray, but they're not really connected to what we're doing. But hey, I'm encouraging you to get connected because we do have the ability to really reach a lot more people if more people come on board and support what we're doing. So I would say that, a couple thousand here every time I put up a video, maybe 3,000 people. I mean, this thing could really grow back to, days gone by when we were, but see, back then when we were doing the million people every time we did a video, we weren't really I mean, I would preach every once in a while in little short spurts, but it was more of an entertainment thing. It was more of a political kind of rally environment. And it really wasn't, it was more of like throwing out a seed, it wasn't really cultivating the seed. It wasn't really overseeing the seed. It wasn't really, hands-on discipleship type environment. It was just like throw a few seeds out there, have a big, large gathering of people, 1 million people see the video, and they heard a message, a little message about the gospel, And what we're trying to do now is a little more of a hands-on kind of developing and activating. I mean, we've inspired a lot of channels to do what they're doing right now. I mean, there's a lot of channels that are out there that saw what we were doing and are now doing what we were doing. So in a certain way, we did kind of develop people's ideas about the internet, how they could use it. But a lot of times people took that as a monetization kind of model instead of an actual outreach where you're really, and I've seen outreaches where they have what they call online churches, where they structure it like a church, but it's a virtual type setup. Yeah. And that's why Zoom is important. I think Zoom is an environment where you can actually touch people on a deeper level. So if we do the Zoom, we're going to need to really pray and make sure that's a place where we need to go. Anyways, Michael Maris, why am I funny? Tell me. What am I funny? What did you see? What did you think that was so funny? I'm kind of curious. Jackie, good to see you. Patty Lynch, A-Dub. Lots of green people here. We got a lot of the subscribers here. And if you're not a subscriber of the channel or not just a subscriber, but a member, become a member. That's a good way to do it too. Become a member, get a little extra perk. And 100% A-Dub. God bless, brother. You guys are great supporters. Patty Lynch, Jackie Barr, and who else we got in here? It's Humpty Dumpty. We got a Humpty Dumpty in the house. Yeah, I love to talk about Jesus and about God and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And it's really an important part of what we do here. David Craig, another great supporter of what we do. David Craig, God bless. You're a believer too, Patty? I know. I think I know. We've talked. Haven't we talked before? Let's see. What else? Becky, God bless. CSE drivers. People are going to need answers. And, when we gather together seeking answers, that's when they come. I don't know if you've ever had the experience where you gather together with other believers and you're praying about something and you get an answer. I've had that happen many times. And that's why Jesus says, wherever 2 or more of you are gathered in my name, there I am in your midst. Now, do you know that Jesus is with you normally when you're in your prayer closet? You're by yourself, you're reading your Bible. Obviously, you pray. you expect God to answer your prayers. He's with you, right? He's living his life in you, as it says. But what happens when you gather with other believers? There's a different dynamic that the Holy Spirit has in revealing Christ in your midst. He's walking in the midst of the candlesticks, right? That is the church, right? The candlesticks represent the church in Revelation, right? He's walking in the midst of the church, in the midst of you and I. You are the church. I am the church. Whenever two or more of you are gathered in my name, there I am in your midst. It's a special type of revelation, a special type of an encounter. We're having it even right now. What, are you a believer? I am a believer. There's a lot of other believers that are here. He's in our midst. And then it says, whatever you ask for in my name, whatever you agree upon as touching anything that you shall ask, you will have it. If you ask it in my name and in accordance with my will, right, you will have those petitions that you have requested. And how many of you have had a prayer answered when you've done that? I can't begin to tell you how many prayers I've gotten answered. So I would encourage you, if you need something from the Lord, get your heart right, pray, and believe that he's going to hear you. If you ask anything in accordance with his will, we know that he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, it says that we know we have received the petitions that we've asked of him. So without faith, it's impossible to please God. He that comes to God must believe that he exists and that he's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Are you diligently seeking him? Do you believe that he's there listening? Do you know that he hears your requests, that he's going to answer? Well, then he's going to reward you, it says. He's a rewarder of those who diligent. Are you diligent? Or are you just half-heartedly, there might be a God, and maybe he'll hear this. Brother Lord, I just say a little prayer, and hopefully he answers. And go on your way. That's not diligent. That's not a diligent seeking. You got to diligently seek it. Hey, Lulops, God bless. God bless you. Thank you. We're putting it in towards souls. This is another $10 toward the souls. More souls. We need more souls. I'm not saying money equals souls, but it does free up our time. And so we will definitely be encouraged to go in that direction of opening up more doors that take money. But it's not going to stop me from praying for you. It's not going to stop me from doing videos. It's just something that could probably be it's kind of like Jesus calling for loaves and fishes. Well, why did he need loaves and fishes for? He could have just prayed and manna would have come out of the heavens. Well, there's different ways in different times and different places, and God has different methods. And many times he uses natural means. Go get the barrels of water and bring them over here. I'll turn them into wine. Okay, go get that loaves and fishes from that little kid and his little lunch. Bring it over here. We'll multiply it. All right, this is Lulu's little $10 donation. Well, let's see if we can multiply it and make it, pass it out. And well, anybody need some money? Anybody need some food? Anybody need anything from a gathering that's going to take some money to get it going? Well, it'll happen. It'll multiply. Here we go. Step out of the boat. Watch. Amen. How many of you guys know what I'm talking about? Good night, Elizabeth. Good night, Jane. Good night. What's his name? Remember Jim Bob? Good night, Elizabeth. Good night. Good night. Have a good night. I'm an old believer, but not an old channel member. So, Lori, you've just been here just recent. That's good. I'm glad that you've come on board. Daughter of God, you just got here? Well, you can always go back and rewind. It's not going to be that difficult. Anyways, guys, God bless all of you out there. Have a great afternoon, great evening, and a great morning. If I don't see you, just like Truman. But no, have a good evening, and the Lord bless all of us. The Waltons. Yeah, the Waltons. See? Patty knows. The Waltons. Good night, John. Good night, Jim Bob. What was his name? Jim Bob? I never watched that. I just remember that part. That was the only part I remember. Jim Bob or James. Anyways, it's time. I know we got to go to bed. It's getting late. All right, so too many things are coming in at the same time. I got to go. God bless, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night. Amen. If anything else happens, I'll be back. If war breaks out, I'll alert you. Make sure you're connected to all of our alerts, because if war hits the fan in the middle of the night, I'm going to send out an alert. You better get your alerts so you know what's going on. Connect it to your phone. Make sure that you're connected to our Telegram page, to our Patreon page. You can follow us without donating. You can just follow us, become a friend, or our, what's another good way to get alerts? Telegram, YouTube. Enable instant notifications. Hit the bell. Make sure the bell's hit. Subscribe and hit the bell so that you'll get instant notifications. And if your email to your YouTube channel is connected to your phone, it will alert you. You'll get an alert. And that way you'll know when we're live instantly. Okay? So don't miss it. If something hits the fan tonight, in the middle of the night, war breaks out, we're going to let you know. All right. God bless. Have a great night.